Lin, we were talking before coming, and we realized that you were here when Valentino came in 2004.
Yeah, that's right.
So many up and downs, you know, you have gone through all kinds of situations.
Sure.
How do you feel in this moment?
Old. Yeah, sometimes, sometimes you reflect on that, and you maybe, as you are getting older, which I am, then you kind of sometimes look back, and especially now, Valentino, of course, has departed basically from this world and is now in car racing. So that makes you think, I remember the day when Valentino was riding for us, and then you go back to this moment here, which was in January. I think it was in January, maybe it was in the very first week of February, because when he joined us, Honda wouldn't allow him to test in the end of the year. So we came here, and I remember our team uniform was grey, so we looked, it looked very different, but it was an exciting moment, exciting times. That changed everything, and then indeed, we had a lot of ups, so we had some big downs, and here we are, still in the game, and so quite optimistic. Anyway, being here, honestly, at this moment, we have a feeling of optimism. So everybody is hungry to start again. We had a good shakedown test last week. So we are enthusiastic.
So recovering from one of these downs.
Yeah. I would say the down was probably the beginning of last year was really the biggest down, because then we understood we were going to have a tough job. Finally, we finished second. So for me, second position is not a big down. We have to keep it in perspective. So you can't win every year. You have now 5 manufacturers, last year 6, now 5 manufacturers. That means 5 will be not successful, and only 1 will be successful, and you have to accept that's part of the life. You can't always win, and so I don't consider second to be a negative result, but it was a hard season, and it was difficult. We say in English, a bitter pill to swallow. The fact that we didn't have what we needed last year, we couldn't deliver to the rider what we needed. So hopefully this year will be better.
Speaking about excitement, I was also here in 2004, so I remember this day very well. It was a big excitation. And this week, I feel a bit the same. I'm speaking yesterday with Mayo. He told me that he arrived in 2011, and it's the first time he saw so many Japanese in the garage. And Fabio told me it's the first time that he will have so many parts to test. So, could we say that something is boiling in Yamaha racing department?
I would say it's very different than 2004, because 2004. Was it 4? Yeah, 4.
Yeah, it was 4.
2004. It's very different, because then in 2003 we hadn't won a single race. Then there was the move of Valentino, and so we were really starting from zero. It's like, okay, do or die. We had to make this work. We took the best star rider in the world, and we had to make it happen. This is a little bit different now, but I would say that what's given us all this positivity and motivation is we've seen a reaction. So the reason why we ended up in the position we were last year is because there were some things that were not working. We were not fully focused enough. And I think last year, anyway, we understood that we needed to make a change in the way that we work, a change in the speed and pace of development. Because anyway, we were slipping behind, we were too slow. And so I'm also very enthusiastic because of the reaction we've seen. Since, even during last year, we felt that it was coming, but we were quite cautious before the shakedown test, because the truth of the pudding is when you're on the track. So you can have a good plan, you can have a good idea, you can have many positive intentions, but until you deliver on the track, then you don't know. And so last week or a few days ago was a feeling of, okay, it looks as if we're going to...
There is a ground.
Yeah, it looks as if we're in the right way.
Sorry, when you speak about we, Is it Japan? Because the team knows what's going on the track, you know, because you are there every day by day.
Well, you know, our company anyway, it really is a big, the we is collectively. So we have the Japan side that is doing most of the development of the technology and the parts and materials. And then we are running in the Yamaha in Europe, we're running the team operation and the sporting operation. It used to be fairly black and white, but it's no longer black and white in the sense that now we have many engineers working in Italy as well. So we have mainly Italian, Spanish and Irish engineers there. And that's a big change to the past. So therefore the integration is there and we are definitely much more of a we now. And I think that that's something that is very helpful, is that we have this mutual respect, we have a lot of exchange of data, information, ideas. Obviously last year we started, once we realized that we were in trouble, we changed the way of developing the engine. So we have a consultancy also with the Italian engineering group called Mar Motors, run by Luca Marmarini. So that's another sign of change. And that's a very, very good collaboration between the Italian-based you know, specialists in engine design, working very strongly with our Japanese. So the we truly is a we.
Before speaking deeply in the organization side, Lin, Valencia test was a big of question mark. Nobody understood what happened there.
Yeah.
You maybe the first one. So what, at the end, what was the explanation of this difficult day?
Firstly, it was a surprise, so there's no doubt it was a surprise to us, to the riders especially, to all of us, also to the engineers. I can't say exactly what we found, but basically our preparation of that test was not as good as it needed to be. So there were some mistakes, I would say, in the way that we approached that test. And then we needed to deep dive afterwards because we were surprised at that test. But later we deep dived, we checked everything, and we understood where the probable problem lied. And however, that means that our preparation now is much more detailed and much more precise.
In the way you mix the different parts you have to test to find the good combination?
It's attention to detail, I would say.
Lin, regarding the organization, Sumi-san is now the head of the development department, or I don't know how is it, the racing department.
Yes.
He seemed to be an open-minded Japanese.
Yeah, correct.
Is he behind this, what you just explained, between the merging from Japan and the Europe base?
It's not just the arrival of Sumi. Also when Hank Ito was there, Hank Ito was the president of Yamaha and was in charge as general manager of motorsport development. So Sumi then was the project leader of the M1. Yes. Now they've just changed. So Hank became, 55. So he moved position. Sumi upgraded, and now Seiki is the project leader. So it's again, it's not a revolution. Like our bike design over many years. It's an evolution and a changing of the direction. I think really, the process is something that has evolved and improved, but Sumi, as an example, in the past, he's a chassis expert. So he was the link between Yamaha's engineers and YMC several years ago. So he knows Yamaha, he knows the engineers, he was supporting the development of that capacity, should we say, but also in his role as M1 project leader, he knows what the project needs. So the fact that he's now general manager and also new president since January 1st of Yamaha, it's a positive thing. As you say, he's an open-minded guy, very much focused on racing, reasonable, realistic, and he's the right guy at the right time for this next transition.
When Valentino arrived in 2004, it was most of the time of Furuzawa.
Yep.
And then, if I'm not wrong, in 2006, Valentino was a bit upset with the evolution of the bike, and he asked Furuzawa to come back and a new change. Can we compare this era with what happened in the past in Yamaha? Because it seems that sometimes you have people that change the way they approach the racing or the way they are building teams around them.
Yeah, I don't want to be super specific on names or styles, but each general manager has his own character, his own way to work, and some are more group focused, others are more individual focused, some may be supportive, some may be putting pressure. So there are many different ways to manage, and you know, you have a lot of different characters involved in this motorsports world, and also within any company. So at the moment, anyway, we're in this, as Manuel just said, this open-minded approach, and that was very, very important to change, because we need to be open to listen to everybody, to look, see, study, and use all means. We have to not leave any stone unturned in trying to find small benefits, small gains, because the difference these days in the MotoGP world is, at the end of the day, it's highly competitive. So every accumulation of every small difference counts, whether that be aerodynamics, engine design, chassis design, of course rider performance, team performance, avoiding mistakes. There's so many things. So it's difficult to compare each time period because there were different problems.
Suzuki out of the game, now Yamaha is the only factory with the 4-in-line,
Yeah.
and it seems that you will keep on it.
We're the only one with the advantage now.
Because it seems, from what I understood, even the next engine will be more done by the Maruini style or input. Let's say will still be a 4-in-line?
Combination, yeah, 4-in-line.
So you keep on this?
Yeah, I would say my expectation is, anyway, the current regulations are valid till the end of 26. So until the end of 26, I do not imagine that we will change the engine design. So that's not my personal expectation.
Another new...
To design a new V4, for instance, for Yamaha, if we wished to change to a V4, in my opinion, we would be at a disadvantage compared to our competitors, because they already have many years of experience with four-stroke V4, and we would have to start. So this is not a process you can do in 1 year, probably not even in 2 years. So if we change format of engine design, I would expect it could be when the future regulations are
you
fixed.
expect a big change for the regulation in after 2026?
I can't really say, because the regulations are not yet fixed. So they must be fixed within this year by the MSMA, MotoGP manufacturers.
But you, as a person, personal feeling, you still, because speaking with Dalinia, for example, he thinks that motorcycle world is too far from the reality of the, let's say, the real world now, in terms of environmental regulation and what the need to be, what the sport needs to be now. For example, Formula One is more accurate to the, let's say, green consideration. Do you think that we have to go further on this side? Your personal point of view.
I don't think Formula One is more close to the...
I mean, working more on hybrid solution or things like this.
Yeah. So they are using many new technologies, some of which are relevant for the green direction, some not, I would say. What's important is whatever regulations we make for 27 to 31 period, because it's a 5-year period, need to be relevant to our business and to the needs and expectations of the sporting world and the consumer world. So it's really important to decide what to do to make sure that MotoGP remains relevant to our shareholders, relevant to our customers and fits the expectations of the market. But that doesn't necessarily mean a radical change, for instance, to hybrid, because if there's not that same intention with the motorcycle production, then we invest in something that's irrelevant. So whatever we do in a MotoGP must be connected to a shift and a change in the products that we will sell in the future. So I agree with Gigi's comment, but I don't think comparing it directly with Formula One is the right comparison. We are motorcycle manufacturers selling motorcycles, which are much more simple products compared to automotive.
Tom O'Kane.
Yeah.
Tom O'Kane is a new name also in Yamaha.
Yeah.
His arrival, is it related to the need of working faster or more accurate because of the sprint races? Why is Tom with Yamaha?
Tom, kind of a new name or old name, depends how long you've been in the business. I've been here for a long time, and Tom
Start with Yamaha.
Yeah, exactly. So he started with the Yamaha. So Tom has basically come back to Yamaha. No, Tom is known to be a highly respected engineer, performance engineer. So when Suzuki withdrew from the championship, he was a real potential asset that we thought would be very useful for us. He has a good feeling with Yamaha from the past as well. He's a performance engineer more than he has many facets, but in particular, performance engineering is a side that we were not as strong as we needed to be. We've been spending more time in recent years to go in that direction. So he's now the head of our performance engineering group. He's working a lot in Italy as well, and obviously all of the Grand Prix races. So yeah, he was just an opportunity that was not to be missed, and I think that we will definitely see the benefit of his many years of experience and his analytical mind. Yeah.
So there's been many changes. I don't know if you can talk about changes, but many small inputs to grow, not just one line.
Yeah, absolutely. Also in Japan as well. So, which unfortunately I can't share with you, but I'm sure that as the year progresses, you will discover, knowing your skills.
So there is a new format this year with the sprint race. So Friday will be more important than ever. You will have to be ready for the qualification, for the sprint race. You will have also to have a bike ready for the sprint race, maybe another setup for the Grand Prix race. So analyzing the data of, and I mean, the work of, I guess that Tom also will be very crucial for this job. Especially you have only 2 riders. So how do you rank your deficit compared to Ducati with 8 bikes?
There is no doubt that having more bikes on the grid gives you the opportunity to try more things, to get more data, to be prepared to try option A, B and C, and then to be better set up. So it's not ideal to have only 2 bikes. Hopefully in the future we can return to having 4 bikes. We don't want more than 4 bikes. But yeah, we need to plan very well every race we can. We need to not make any mistakes, or at least to minimize the number of mistakes that we make in order to be competitive. So yeah, it's going to be tough for the guys in the garage, especially, and the engineers.
Lin, who is to blame, if anybody is to be blamed, about losing the satellite team?
We didn't lose anybody, they're still here. So they made a decision to change brand. And it's something I'd rather not go into lots of detail, because we have no point to go back and dig into the past. But Yamaha were concerned about the stability of the team. So for that reason, whilst we entered into the spirit of a 3-year collaboration, we were doing it on a year-by-year basis. So our company is very cautious with partnerships, and we have a lot of focus, for instance, internally within our corporation. Compliance is one of the key things in our way of doing business. So we took the approach that we were open to renew with RNF, but for a 1-year term. They had different ideas and different requests. Then Aprilia came, and Aprilia were hungry to expand their effort and to have a satellite team for the very reasons we've just been talking about. So I think Aprilia made a very, from what I understand, a very good offer to RNF. And so they decided to make the change. And it's okay for us, it's okay. So we had a good relationship with RNF during the years that we were together, but things change sometimes, and they change. Now they've gone to Aprilia, and in the future we'll come back with a satellite team again, and that's part of the ups and downs and the
the wheel turning,
yeah,
the wheel turning.
That's right.
So the logical prospect would be to join the VR46 team with you, because you're already working Moto2 with them. You have a lot of, even for VR46 is on your board. So they have a contract with Ducati till next year.
Yes.
Is there any chance that this contract will be shorter?
It's never. First thing I would say for the satellite, what we must do now is, anyway, before we even talk to any team, we have to be 100% sure, and we have to be able to show that we can deliver a competitive bike. Because anyway, other teams that could be available, you just talked about now, Ducati have 8 bikes, but also 8 highly competitive bikes. So for a team to change from Ducati to Yamaha or any other brand to Yamaha, we need to be able to show and demonstrate and be able to provide competitive bikes. This is number one point. Secondly, then, in order to do that, we need to have terms and conditions that are competitive for that team compared to what they have from other manufacturers. And thirdly, we need a situation where there's no contractual obstacles or blocks. So at the moment, VR46 sure would seem to be the most logical choice for us, because we've done many things together in the past, and we are still doing today. But at the moment they have a fixed contract in place. So it's too early to say yet what could be possible or not. But if 2024 is eventually not possible, then we will try again for 2025.
Lin, going to the championship, do you think that all of us have not calculated the Valentino effect on the championship, Valentino leaving effect on the championship?
Calculated in which sense?
It has been more shaking that, I mean, the championship has kind of lost the reference, that his North Star, let's say.
There's no doubt that Valentino had this unique attraction, history, charisma. He was a household name all around the world. So the absence of Valentino definitely has had some negative effect on the championship. For me, another factor has also been the absence of Marc. I think at the same time as Valentino departing, Marc has been in physical trouble. You know, if we think back at the previous years, a lot of the MotoGP world was Marc Marquez versus Valentino Rossi, and Marc Marquez is also a phenomenon. He's also 8 times world champion. So to have Marc out of the game for the last 2 years, more or less, no, he's won a couple of races, but he's been in trouble, he's been in difficulty. So I think, firstly, the Valentino factor, secondly, the Marc Marquez factor, and thirdly, I think that Formula One has definitely done a very, very good job over the last couple of years as well, and has attracted a lot of new interest and spectator, partly because of this Netflix series and the way that they've changed with the social media. You know, Formula One has now become the hip motorsport. And I think that a few years ago, if I go back 5 years ago, it was the opposite. Formula One was in trouble. We were the reference point in many ways. So we need to get more active again. We need to, anyway, Valentino's not coming back. So we need to get used to that, and we need to have Mark back and fit. We need to have Honda back in the game. You know, Honda is also a dominant reference point and force, and they're not really, at this moment, they're not really there. They're certainly not where they should be. So there are many, many factors, but I think that the positive side is the racing is super competitive. You know, the show on TV is still very good. We need to work harder to change the attitude and approach of the way that we promote the sport to regain our relevance. I think that's what we want.
Sorry, Michel, that's called communication, right?
So what could Dorna improve in this way?
There are many things that Dorna could improve. There are things we can improve. I think the whole sport and industry has to come together, and we have to work together, sit around the table together, looking in each and every aspect of what we can do. I don't want to be critical and say Dorna should do this or they should do that. We must all come together, work together with the media. We need to regenerate this kind of feeling of positivity and good spirit of collaboration.